Good morning, children. Welcome to the new session of English 1 in Standard 5th. Children, today we are going to see our next poetry, that is the Triantiwontigongolope. I know the name is a bit difficult for you to say, but if you practice saying it and you read the poem again and again, it will be very easy for you to say it or pronounce it. The poetry is Triantiwontigongolope by C.J.Dennis. Now let us study more about this poem. Children, the poem The Triantiwontigongolope is written by C.J.Dennis. This is taken from a book published in 1921 by C.J.Dennis, book for kids. C.J. and his wife had no children of their own, but his love of children is evident in this collection of beautiful children poems. Now let us see what is, in short, the poem about. The main character of this poem is a very funny insect with a very funny name. The poet describes its physical appearance, eating habits, and other activities in the poem. At the end of the poem, the poet surprises us by concluding that the insect is imaginary and does not exist. Now let us study more about the poet C.J. Dennis. Okay? Clarence Michael James Stanislaus Dennis, better known as C.J. Dennis, was an Australian poet known for his humorous poems, especially the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke published in the early 20th century. Let us read the first stanza of the poem now. There's a very funny insect that you do not often spy. There's a very funny insect that you do not often spy. And it isn't quite a spider, and it isn't quite a fly. And it isn't quite a spider, and it isn't quite a fly. It is something like a beetle and a little like a bee. It is something like a beetle and a little like a bee, but nothing like a woolly grub that climbs upon a tree. But nothing like a woolly grub that climbs upon a tree. Its name is quite a hard one, but you'll learn it soon. Its name is quite a hard one, but you'll learn it soon, I hope. So try, Triantiwontigongolope. So children, from this first stanza, what do we understand that we are going to see next? In this stanza, the poet tells us that there is a funny looking insect whom no one wants to go and find. Then he tells us about its appearance, how it looks. He says that it doesn't look like a spider or a fly exactly, but it does not look like a woolly grub also that climbs upon a tree, but it looks somewhat like a beetle and also like a bee. Now what is a beetle? An insect with wings which are hard and also like a bee that collects the honey, students. Okay. Then he says that it is not like a woolly grub also. Okay. And then it introduces this very strange insect with a very different and a difficult name. And what is it? The Triantiwontigongolope. Right? Now let's turn to the second paragraph. Okay. There it comes. Now what does the second paragraph read like? It lives on weeds and wattle gum and has a funny face. Its appetite is hearty and its manners a disgrace. When first you come upon it, it will give you quite a scare. But when you look for it again, you find it isn't there. And unless you call it softly, it will stay away and move. So try, try, Triantiwontigongolope. So now children, from this second stanza, the poet tells us about his eating habits. He says that it eats ample of weeds, means the unwanted wild plants or the grass, and the gum that is secreted or that secretes from the some kind of trees. Here it is said the wattle gum, which is kind of the gum that we get from the Australian type of a plant, and it does not show any manners. Also, if you see it first time, it will try to scare you, and when you try to see it again, what will it do? It will not come out or be seen unless you call it very softly. Feeling low and unwanted, it will try to hide. Okay. Now let's turn to the third paragraph. Okay. So what the third paragraph says? Let's read. It trembles if you tickle it or tread upon its toes. It is not an early riser, but it has a snubbish nose. If you sneer at it or scold it, it will scuttle off in shame. But it purrs and purrs quite proudly if you call it by its name and offer it some sandwiches of sealing wax and soap. So try, try, Triantiwontigongolope. Now here in the next stanza, what does the poet try to tell us? He says if you try to touch it very softly, it will shake with fear. This Triantiwontigongolope does not rise early in the morning and has a very unusual, short and turning upwards nose. It is very intelligent and can understand the expressions of your face or on your face, and if it sees any kind of expression, it runs away and hides. If it sees any unkind expression, it runs away and hides. But if you call it lovingly and offer it the sandwiches made of wax, that is the wax used for sealing the letters and soap, then it becomes happy, comes out and makes a sound, a purring sound that is similar to the sound of a cat. Here you can also make out the very unusual food that the poet thinks that Triantiwontigongolope likes the beeswax and the soap. Now let us turn to the last paragraph. Okay. Now let's see what the last paragraph tells us. The last stanza tells us, but of course you haven't seen it, and I truthfully confess that I haven't seen it either, and I don't know its address. For there isn't such an insect, though there really might have been. If the trees and grass were purple and the sky was bottle green, it's just like a little joke of mine, which you will forgive, I hope. Oh, try, Triantiwontigongolope. Now, in the last and the concluding stanza, what does the poet say? In the last stanza, finally, the poet confesses that the insect he was talking about is an imaginary insect, and he hasn't seen it either, and says it would exist only if the sky was bottle green and the trees and the grass were purple. Is it possible that the grass and the trees become purple? No. So that means that the existence of Triantiwonti is almost nowhere, and accepts that he was joking and asks the readers to forgive him for this really weird joke. So, students, did you enjoy the poem? I know you did so. Let's forgive the poet with a smile. Students, read the and you are going to write it down once in your notebook, and the meanings also you are going to copy from the next slide in your notebook. Okay? And also do the question number 3 that is shown in the slide which is there in your textbook. Okay? Do the activities in question number 3. Until then, this is your teacher Dipti Kamalwar saying thank you and signing off. Okay, bye. Let's meet in the next session and stay home, stay safe. Goodbye.